And this is the Keiser report episode that I wanted to talk about. You know, they're initially talking about the yield curve inverting, but they also mentioned that you see the central bank money printing causing the equity markets to rise, while they use the measure of GDP, which, you know, they also mentioned is not a good measure because it's fudged. And you see that stagnate as supposedly a measure of your economy. So, stock market going that way, GDP going that way, supposedly your economy. Stock market has nothing to do with your economy.
We are in Malibu, California. Behind me, you can see
while your economy's tanking.
Stacy, why are we here?
Well, because the yield curve has inverted. That's a good reason to come out here, right? Because things could be on fire. This, by the way, our friend lives here. This is his house and her house. This is their backyard.
So prices, the GFC, and the beginning
yield, and that's in the U.S. vanished on Friday as a surge of buying pushed long end rates to survive the fire.
Break out the marshmallows.
First time since 2007, and of course we all know what happened right after 2007. The gap between the 3-month and 10-year yields, whose inversion is seen by many as a reliable harbinger of recession in the U.S., vanished on.
Again, you've never recovered from the 2008 recession. You were showing fudge numbers for GDP, which actually is going down.
On Friday, as a surge of buying pushed long end rates sharply lower. So that's the 3-month yield, and that's the 10-year yield.
Well, it also demonstrates trust between banks started to break apart. Beginning of the global financial crisis, the GFC.
And this is exactly what you have now, too.
By many as a reliable harbinger of recession in the U.S.
That's exactly what you have now.
As a surge of buying pushed long end rates sharply lower. So that's a 3-month yield, and that's the 10-year yield.
Well, it also demonstrates trust between banks started to break apart. You know,
the internet's bad here. Hang on.
This was the beginning of a major credit freeze.
That's the important part, which is what you have now, credit exhaustion. And the only people banks can lend to are bad credit risks.
And the beginning of the massive multi-trillion-dollar.
It's essentially what it was. Ponzi scheme.
Needed to keep the banks from Deutsche Bank, the new Lehman Brothers is bankrupt. No. It's just a short-term funding gap. We need to print, this time they'll have to print, what, $50, $60 trillion?
It has been noted online that the yield curve did invert in 2007. Things were quite normal for, about 4 to 5 months, and everything seemed fine.
I don't think you'll have that long.
And then Lehman Brothers collapsed. And then credit spreads burst like 2,300 basis points. So
and now you already have freezing in the basically the shit loan market. They couldn't get any sold for a while. They just restarted a few months ago, a few weeks ago.
Wealth creation,
wealth
production, and we've relied on China and Germany to do that. So here's a headline out of Germany, which looks a little bit ominous. Ouch! Manufacturing activity has not bottomed out yet in Eurozone as new export orders continue to fall. Manufacturing activity in Germany is falling to levels unseen since 2012. This is bad news for GDP and investment, as firms are also less capacity constrained, HSBC says. That's this last year. As you see, it's looking pretty downish.
You said that, of course, you need some economic growth somewhere to support this model, this picture of equity. But do you actually need some growth somewhere? What we've been seeing in the last couple of decades is this idea where you have profitless prosperity. You don't need profits. You don't need corporations operating profitably.
It's just money printing.
Prosperity. Corporations can continue to operate at a loss indefinitely. Banks can continue to make bad loans.
And what he said there is zombie companies, just like Lyft, who aren't profitable. That's why, when they have an IPO, guess what? Nobody's going to be buying that shit. You know why? Because nobody in their right mind wants to own a company that's not profitable. You would not invest your money for a company to lose it, which is what essentially Lyft does. And then you have the same story for all those other BS. Hang on. Oh, this isn't about the... There's a nice article on Zero Hedge about the unicorn companies. But none of these companies would exist if it weren't for cheap credit. Because to be in business, you need to be profitable.
Indefinitely. Countries can continue to rack up debts indefinitely, as long as you have central banks there ready to print money to help them roll over their debts. And the central banks themselves.
And that's essentially what you had happen in Japan.
The Federal Reserve Bank, the European Central Bank, the Bank of England, the Bank of Japan. They are 50, 60, 70% leveraged.
Yeah, they're all insolvent.
Much more leveraged than long-term capital management ever was.
And the reason why that's important is because they're solvent, because they're in tremendous amounts of debt, they're not going to be bailing you out. They're going to be calling the IMF, who also told you that we can't bail you out, and they're going to be asking them for a bailout. So this is worse than your situation in 2008.
More leveraged than Lehman Brothers or Bear Stearns ever was. They're the most leveraged hedge funds that we've ever seen in the history of hedge fund skullduggery. But it doesn't matter because they can print and buy back their own debt in an infinite cycle of profitless prosperity. And then one day, like Wile E. Coyote over the cliff chasing the Roadrunner, there's that moment of recognition. And then,
and that's pretty much it when it all just comes crashing down.
Now, who's going to come to the rescue this time? Obviously not the central banks because they're tapped out.
They say they're going to do negative interest rates, so we'll see if they do that.
Negative interest rates where they just take money directly out of people's accounts. The bail-in, as it's called.
But
yeah, you now have to pay them to take your money.
Profitless prosperity.
Profitless prosperity. Of course,
you're not collecting interest. You're paying them to take your money.
The equity rallies don't require any new inflows. It's just them eating themselves through share buybacks. But, you know, the real economy, as you saw, the manufacturing is declining rapidly in the Eurozone, in particular in Germany, which is who produces every high-end good in the world.
That's our Bitcoin wallet that you can donate into.
But there's also signs of recession here in the U.S. in terms of the meat space, any sort of retail sector, or anybody that has to interact with a human being. But the services sector has actually been doing very well, and that's probably why the rest of the economy is doing so badly. As our frequent guest Steve Keen has said, you know, the fire sector, finance, insurance, and real estate are, you know, suck wealth out of the economy. They don't add to productivity.
And if you're not part of that,
real wealth. So
you're not going to be doing it.
Hit out of the ballpark. No slowdown in the huge services sector. Revenues in the major private sector.
And there's the services reference that the idiots like to reference a lot too. There's your service too.
Quarter a year earlier to $4.01 trillion, not seasonally adjusted, reaching for the first time $4 trillion according to the Commerce Department. So the United States is about a $20 trillion economy. That's 20% of the GDP. But in particular, within that, it's finance and insurance that really, really did the best. Banking revenue was up 10%. This is the biggie among biggies, and Q4 revenue rose 8% for both finance and insurance year over year to $1.24 trillion. For the year 2018, revenues rose 7.6% to $4.84 trillion. This amounts to a whopping 24% of GDP and 31% of all services. So
a quarter of your economic output relies on that.
Economy. That would be finance, insurance, and real estate. This is growing, and as you point out, it's not productive, according to Steve King or Michael Hudson, he wrote a book called Killing the Host. And he made the model that this economy, this sector of the economy, the fire economy, is the parasite of the economy that feeds on everyone. It's growing in size, and it's killing the host. This fire economy, the parasitical part of the economy, is killing the host, and we are the host. Anyone with a real job that makes real stuff and tries to...
And that's the important part. You develop anything, you manufacture anything, which you don't. Guess what? That's what it extracts from. But you don't even have that anymore. So guess what? You're not extracting anything.
Make real profits. That's the host hosting this parasite called Jamie Dimon, Goldman Sachs, the hedge fund industry, Blackstone.
Or like those rat bastards that try to tell me that I had to audition for them to create anything of mine. Just like this video, they weren't needed. Or in addition to that, the other rat bastards who thought that I needed them for, for example, if I wanted to make a technology company. No, they're not needed.
Money management.
But they still tried to extract.
Sectors, they are actually a cancer, and the cancer is growing quite rapidly. And eventually the host will be killed, and then the cancer will die as well, but not before it kills the host. See Michael Hudson's book, Killing the Host.
We've talked over and over about the Cantillon effect, and our economy is no longer...
And that's important, too. She mentions the Cantillon effect a lot. It's something from Austrian economics, where you got a central bank that prints money. But you're not going to get that money. You're not. You're not part of the places that gets that money, which will usually be, finance, the asset bubbles like, the equities markets, or real estate. Or I guess if you were a college, you would have the inflated college tuition too. But the point is, that's not going to be distributed to you. And if you thought that your life was going to get better because of it, because the bank printed money, it's not.
Our politicians' fiscal policy, trade policy, industrial policy no longer is ever even discussed. It's all monetary policy. And when they do monetary policy, the only way the central bank can operate...
You don't produce anything. You just print money.
And the only people they can give it to are those bankers. And those bankers get it for 0%. By the time it trickles down, it's at 15 to 20% on a credit card, for example, for the ordinary person. So they get all the tainted money tainted with fraud and leverage. But again, so the real economy, remember Donald Trump has all these trade wars going on and the tax cuts, and the tax cuts were supposed to bring some of the industry back to the United States.
And you don't get those either.
The U.S. posted largest ever monthly budget deficit in February. The U.S. posted its biggest monthly
because they didn't use those tax cuts to get you jobs.
20% drop.
They used that just to buy their stock back up and inflate that assets more.
So far this fiscal year, the budget gap widened to $234
So if you thought their share prices going up was good for you, no, it's not. Because they just used that to inflate their share prices. They didn't use it to actually get you more jobs or economic activity. So if you still think the stock market going up made your economy better, it didn't.
A lot of it is obviously cutting the corporate tax rate from nearly 40% down to 25% or 20%, 21% has helped a lot of companies. But while the spending on government spending is going up, the revenues are going down. So.
Well, entitlement programs, which would include food stamps, welfare, Medicare, Medicaid, plus the welfare of quantitative easing that goes to Wall Street, that results in people buying houses in the Hamptons, or there's a Hamptons rental this season for 2 months that is $1.5 million. That's just for renting the Hamptons place for the summer.
That's not going to be you.
So that's entitlement programs are gapping open the spending program, because why not spend money if you're being given it at 0% interest rate? As you point out, for most people, the interest rate apartheid concept that I've coined.
And what he says there is absolutely true. If you have a negative interest rate, where you're getting paid to borrow money, and you have money that's inflating its value away, meaning the debt that it's denominated in devalues anyway, and you owe less, you would be a fool to not take out that money and go spend it on that Hamptons house. But for the usual person, that's not going to be you.
Is that once the Cantillon effect reaches the majority of
and
folks,
again,
their
the
cost
Cantillon
borrowing
effect.
is 10, 15, 16, 18, 20%. Payday loans, it's annualized at 6,000%. but they're still out there buying until such time